I had sent you everybody the November 9th, 2022 meeting minutes. Is there any additions or corrections to what I sent you? Moved. Is there a second? Motion? Second. All in favor of approving the November 9th meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Very good. Okay, correspondence. Not much, but I did receive a email regarding issues with the camping ordinance proposal that we had discussed that last time, and that we'll discuss again tonight. Most of the issues that were brought up in that email were basically meant to be addressed at the site plan review and not necessarily in the ordinance. Also, I received a letter from an attorney that basically provided some commentary on the issues that the solar project, such as the existing ordinance is reasonable, and that the moratorium should not be extended, setbacks are reasonable, things like that. And I'll try to get it up on the web so everybody can read it. All of you have received a copy of it, and hopefully have read it. So otherwise, that's all the correspondence that I received. Is there anything? I want to bring up, there's one addition to the agenda that's not on here, and that is a discussion on the CO2 deep well injection. Pat had asked for it to be put on there, and I agreed, and I forgot to write it down. So sorry about that. So. Okay, is there any information from the township board member?
Oh, we have a few things. One of the things we did was we voted in a replacement for Phil Heath as supervisor. That would be Mark Bowden, township president. We also, in a 2-2 vote, the board decided not to rescind the solar ordinance 13.27. We did one land division, and a representative from our auditors gave us a yearly report. Apparently a good job is being done by the township finally, which we're glad. That's my report.
The auditor was for the financial condition of the township.
Yes, to monitor our books.
So are you trying to imply that years ago we were not doing so well?
I'm trying to imply that yes, they were a disaster for quite a while.
Okay. So,
But they're, through the efforts of several people, they are now good.
very good. Okay. So, okay, now we come to public comment time. I would like the township board, you can talk about anything you want. This first public comment. So, anybody, there's a microphone up here, please come up and tell us what's on your mind.
I'm interested in school. I'm township. I want to talk to you guys about that campground going in over there. Just thinking about, take a look at it. It already looks like a dump over there. You know that a campground come in? Light everywhere. Put down towards the south end of it, at the north end by the barn, all kinds of garbage sitting around that place. Don't need to be a campground. You can clean it up.
Thank you, Tim.
Right.
Any other public comment? Yes, sir.
Right. I know you just brought up the campground thing, that did get tabled the last, that did get tabled the last meeting we were at, right?
Yes, it did. The ordinance change got tabled. The approval for the campground at Getaway Bay is still in the future. So,
So nothing that done is sitting still.
correct.
Okay.
We will be discussing the campground tonight. They can't be amendments to the ordinance can. But not specifically Getaway Bay.
Okay, then there's further discussion among the people to you than I, right?
And then later, probably March, we will have a public hearing on Getaway Bay one in Canada. So tonight and January, we're going to be having a discussion and maybe a public hearing on changing the ordinance to allowing camping. Which does not authorize, Getaway Bay for their campground.
I don't understand what you're trying to tell me. If you're saying you're gonna talk about campgrounds, so we're gonna make more campgrounds, if anybody wants to make campgrounds.
Maybe.
And what we're not gonna talk about, the one that was brought up in the last meeting.
No, that will be done in probably March, February or March. And the reason for that is first we have to amend the ordinance and then we can talk about what he's requesting. Because right now campgrounds are only allowed in Ag 1. And he's in the C1.
He wants to change it to,
And so we would need to amend the ordinance in order to allow him to have the camping.
so that's why we're gonna talk more about other campgrounds tonight.
Yes, yes, we will. Hopefully I'll make it clear when we get.
So,
Okay. Anybody else?
Good evening. My name is Ron Stark. I have two concerns about the solar. One, would it be fenced off? And how would that impact wildlife? And two is how would they manage the grasses under the solar field? Would that be sprayed with pesticides or mowed? And what would be the long-term damage to our groundwater and well water, continuous spraying of weeds? Because they usually have to do it 3-4 times a year. So that's one of the big concerns. I guess that's
Quick answer to your question is yes, it will be fenced. There'll be a 7-foot deer fence. So in other words, it'll have holes in it for small animals. And in terms of the vegetation, that will be managed by a professional landscaper, horticulturist, whatever. So
still using pesticides.
that's something we'll have to discuss with an expert. Anybody else?
On the last sentence on the last page, it says that Shower asked about screening, and Marty stated that we need to understand what it is we are trying to screen. Maybe we need a fence, until the trees are sufficient to screen the project. So I'm confused, maybe we need a fence. I thought everything was getting fenced.
Everything is getting fenced, and one is, we were discussing, I had brought up the fact that maybe we needed a solid fence or something that was a big.
Well, the last sentence just doesn't make any sense. I made it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Anybody else? Good name, sir. Good name.
Mylan Township. I'll preface this by saying, obviously, I'm one person standing here speaking to you, but I'd like to reiterate the general consensus. There's been an overwhelming and consistent response to for this solar industrial project being proposed in this township. The overwhelming consistent response has been I wanted to keep it in industrial only. That pretty much suffices. Pacified, please. The overwhelming majority of the citizenry of this township, myself included. Again, I'm not speaking for everyone, but if folks have been listening, you know that has been the consistent majority for this concern. I hope you are listening. I hope you will respond. That's all we're asking. Thank you.
Patrick, Northern Township, basically, I'm asking the same thing he is. It's all, a solar farm is clearly not agriculture. Is this all going to be solar commercial?
No,
Why not? It's clearly not agriculture.
if the ordinance allows it to be in the ag district, then it can be put in the ag district.
So I could start a junkyard in an ag district.
No.
What's the difference?
You have enough money.
It's clearly not agriculture.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Brendan Miller, Land and Liberty Coalition. I just wanted to address, I wasn't going to speak, but I just wanted to address some misinformation. First and foremost, on the agricultural question, on whether or not this fits the agricultural requirements, it does. It does fit under zoning law, you can put solar in ag. I'd also challenge the fact that solar is similar to agriculture. You grow corn, what is corn, how do you grow corn? You grow corn using photosynthesis. Water, everything else, photosynthesis creates corn. Corn is then used in many places, including in Highland Township, to create ethanol. Ethanol is not eaten, ethanol is used as energy. Similar circumstances here. A solar panel uses photosynthesis to create energy, thus in processes. I would also like to point out that there was a letter sent out to many residents in the township stating that 19,000 acres of land would be immediately at risk for solar development if the moratorium is not passed. I just like to point out that it's unreasonable to say, not only does your ordinance not allow 19,000 acres of your land to turn into solar instantly, but also regulations that are existent within state law as well as federal law on things like wetlands and everything else would allow it. There's not transmission ports. You have to remember, all this has to be transmitted. There's no way a massive 19,000, 5,000 acre, or really even 4,000 acre solar facility could come online in my township and have the proper transmission actually transmitted. The other thing I wanted to point out is a concern about pesticides. I'm a farmer myself. I can guarantee you the pesticides that would be used to control weeds inside of a solar facility will not be nearly as severe as some of the pesticides used right now on the sick farm fields to control weeds. That's just a fact. That's all I have to say. And the last thing I just want to say is something I always say: make sure we protect the property rights of people who want to do something with their land, even no, maybe some of the neighbors.
So where were you from again?
I've never seen a farmer grow a solar panel.
Anybody else have some? Please come down to the, no, next. You can talk at the next.
I did 5-minute one.
Yes,
I got some questions.
sure, at the 5-minute one, you can talk. Anybody else? Very good. Well, thank you. Thank you very much for your comments. Okay, at this time, 7:16, I'd like to open up the public hearing to obtain public comments regarding text and process changes to the Michigan Milan Township zoning ordinance Article 10 special use approval. You guys in your deck have the copy of the changes. First page is the application for ordinance amendment, and on the back of that is some of the rationale, which says, I'll read the Mylan Township Planning Commission held a public hearing on November 9th, 2022, and December 6th, 2022, to receive public comment on the above request to amend Article 10. Whereas in 2008, the Planning Commission intended that the Township Board would handle all aspects of the special use approval process. Whereas the Township Board has delegated to the Planning Commission the responsibility to review and formulate a statement of findings and conclusions for ordinance changes, site plans, and other requests. Whereas general planning practices gives a responsibility to review and formulate findings and conclusions for special use approval applications to the Planning Commission prior to the Township Board's review. Therefore, it is recommended that Article 10 should be modified. I list all the different changes that we are looking at, proposing. So anyway, our planner has reviewed this, and she actually has provided some additional words to it, which are consistent with our intent. And she added in section 5, paragraph 5, the last sentence she added, the Township Board shall make the final decision on special use requests. Okay, I'm on this page. Article 10, standards for special use. So our planner added the last line in paragraph 5. The Township Board shall make the final decision on a special use request. And then she also inserted the second sentence in number 6. The board may also impose further conditions to protect public health, safety, and welfare, and to uphold the purpose and spirit of this ordinance. So anyway, is there any public comment regarding the changes that these changes were on our website? I did check. And so they were available to anybody who wanted to look at them. And is there any comment that anybody would like to have? Again, what we are doing is the only thing we're doing is changing the procedure for evaluating special use from the Township Board doing all the work to the Planning Commission doing the initial work, and then handing over a proposal to the Township Board for their approval. Any public comment? Yes, Tim.
You guys got enough on your plate. You guys don't need to take on anymore. You guys can't, nothing against any of you. You can't handle what you got on your plate now. Why would you take on more?
Well, one of the reasons is because of the solar ordinance changes, is we wanted to get this done so that we would then be in a position to handle the special use approval process when it comes.
There's not enough transparency. You guys, everything's behind closed doors until you come to the meeting. We don't see any of it. I don't get on the web. Why don't I have a piece of paper about what you got in your hand right now?
Well, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I can't answer that question.
I have a
Yes, sir.
Does the board know or understand special use is not just for you to say yes or no? I mean, do we understand that? Because I think originally they thought that's how you could keep something out of area. It's through a special use permit, but your attorney said that's not the case. If it's a special use and they meet all the criteria of the zoning ordinance, then they can be put in. You can't stop them. So that's why the 19,000 acres is at risk. And yes, maybe it's not total 19,000 because there's some wetlands, or, a sign on one or something. For the majority of that property, that could be at risk. You can't stop it with special use name.
Thank you. I will address what you just mentioned right after the public comments are closed. Any other? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Percy. I feel like I'm pretty tech savvy, and I can't find that on the Island Township's
On the
website.
top, on the front page, there's a, where it says public notice. If you, there's a little red box where it says public notice. If you click on that, it'll bring up the ordinance with the changes that.
Still don't find it. So,
Ma'am, you have the question?
Just to add on to, just to clarify for other people about the 19,000 acres that, for what Reggie Miller said. Apex is not, we know that Apex, Azalea Solar is not the only solar company looking at Milan Township. And that's where, especially according to what the attorney said in November and explaining special use, we are very concerned that Milan Township is open to everybody, to every solar company that wants to come here. And that's our concern. And you can't limit it. You were already told by your attorney that you can't limit the acreage to this, that just opens us up to lawsuits from other solar companies.
Thank you, but public comment right now is only on this.
I know,
this
I
change.
know, I'm just. putting it out there.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, well, there's public comment. Thank you very much. I'm closing the public hearing. And now we will discuss this among the board members. Commission members, I should say. Now, I'd like to address what was just mentioned, one of the comments. The attorney did say at a previous meeting that if the developer meets all the criteria for these zoning ordinance, then we would have to, are duty bound to approve the site plan. That does not approve the project, it only approves the site plan. The special use approval is the document that approves the project. And there are certain standards for approving the special use that would have to be met by the developer. And if now the standards are listed in the ordinance and in the ordinance under the special use approval. And so if those are in the those are met and it's satisfied, then the attorney did say that the special use approval would have to be approved by the township board. Whether they did or not, or would approve it or not, is up to them. But those standards for special use are much considerably more open to debate and than the zoning ordinances. Zoning ordinances are very specific. The special use standards are much more vague. Okay. Okay, guys. Any comments on the changes that have been suggested for this special use approval?
What was the impetus for this again?
The impetus,
I think you mentioned it on November 9th.
well, the impetus is because the way the ordinance is currently written, the township board has to do all the work for fact finding and determination of recommendation, decision, and they want for us to do it as well as normal, or I should say, standard practice among all the townships and counties in Michigan have the planning commission do it. And then once we do all the legwork and then we would make a recommendation and hand it off to the township board for their consideration.
In general, in the past, that legwork, what does that legwork entail? What is it?
It's basically evaluating what the proposal is, what the use request is, and considering whether it met the standards for to be approved. And there are 6 standards that in the orders that under number under the 10.02, the first section, and that we would have to go through and determine whether the project met those criteria.
That would happen at an open meeting.
That would happen at open meetings, yes. Yes, Rebecca.
I'm sorry, so I apologize. I did not check to see if this was on the web either, but where did you say it's at?
On the front page,
On the homepage?
on the home page. And then over on the left-hand side,
Meeting minutes?
no, down, you scroll down a little bit. Go back up.
Yeah. It looks like she replaced it with Karen's.
See what?
I said, I went on my phone anyway, and it looks like she replaced it with Karen's board of review.
Never on there.
Yes, it was.
It was on
It
there.
was
because
on
I
there.
didn't check it myself.
Well, I'm sorry, I just wanted, I
No, that's okay.
don't see.
No, it's apparently it's not like Kevin just mentioned. Apparently she has taken it off and put the board of review on there, right there in that section. And see where that red box was?
Yeah. Yeah, I saw it.
If you clicked on that red box, it brought up the changes. We took it off. The webmaster.
And do they just arbitrarily do that, or they do that at the direction of the township officials?
I'll have to ask Kevin about that. Kevin?
I think, I guess, well, maybe we won't have. It's not very big, so I guess what would be really helpful, I think, is under the agenda or under our meeting minutes, where it has.
Yes, as notices.
Yeah, all the notices in the chart, and it has,
Right there for the planning commission. And then there's meeting notices, public hearing notices.
it would be helpful if maybe in the report section, there were links to the variety of different things.
I agree. And I will have to sit down with her and in my spare time
Right.
and get that, so it's more transparent, more obvious.
Well, and also just consistent, that would be helpful.
It also helpful if anything that was on there was somehow archived, so that if it was removed, that you just still, hey, this was on
I
here.
bet you it is, I think we're just gonna find it. As someone who has to ask a witness. I think this is kind of part of the course. I bet you it's on here somewhere. It just would be
Right.
better if it's stayed in one place.
And stay there for a while.
Yeah.
And I will put that down as what I'd like to do. Okay, any other comments or questions? I'd like to make a motion that we make a recommendation to the township board that they approve the changes that we suggested to Article 10, standards for special use approval. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Okay. Okay, so now, next. The next item in your packet is an item to discuss campgrounds. And basically what originally I had proposed that we put camping in C1, C2, campgrounds, I should say. But we had a number of comments at the public hearing that we had for the campground change that I thought were quite insightful. And so what I'd like to do now is basically leave campgrounds. Right now, campgrounds is in Ag 1 only. And that is where campgrounds is a standalone use for a piece of property. And so I basically want to leave it that way. However, I'd like to add camping as an accessory use for commercial recreational facilities and have it regulated by Article 13.07. This would entail adding a line to the table of permitted uses under accessories, where camping would be an accessory use. The accessory use is where it is a use that is secondary to the primary use of the property. For example, you have a detached garage on your property. That's an accessory building. If you had a pond, for example, on your property, that would be an accessory to the principal use of the property, which would be residential. On a recreational facilities, they would like to have a lake with swimming, and so camping would be an accessory use for that property. In other words, it would be secondary to its primary purpose. And so so that's what I propose. And then in Article 13.07, which regulates private recreational facilities, I've proposed a number of changes that we've talked about it before. Under campground, the Section 3 campground trailer parks and tent site regulations. In the second paragraph says the purpose of the campground travel trailer park shall be to provide temporary recreational sites. Oh, I'd like to add.
I'm sorry.
So what I'm suggesting is that we add the purpose of the campground and travel trailer park, or for camping as an accessory use in a commercial recreational facility, shall be to provide temporary recreational sites and opportunities, and not intermediate or long-term housing. Occupancy within the park shall be limited from April 1st to December 1st, unless approval for an extension of that period is obtained from the township board. And then at the end of that section, item G, I'd like to add, campgrounds are intended to be a standalone use as permitted in Article 5, table of permitted uses. Camping as an accessory use is intended to refer to tent camping in a commercial recreational facility with less than 5 camping sites. Now, the reason I say less than 5 camping sites is because if you have 5 or more camping sites, whether they're for tents or RVs or travel trailers, it is then required to be licensed and regulated by the state of Michigan. And which we do cover, which we have in this section of that requirement. However, so for campgrounds, they would have to be regulated, part of their regulation is from the state of Michigan. However, if you have less than 5 camping sites, then the state of Michigan doesn't care. They don't care what you do. And so we're basically defining camping here as an accessory use, and that it is only less than 5 camping sites. So that distinguishes it from campgrounds. So anyway, that's any questions from you guys? On the board?
So the way this is written now,
Oh, but and just a caveat. Right now, this is a discussion. We're trying to decide if we like these changes and if we should go ahead with a public hearing next month. So, okay, go ahead.
so the way I understand it now, camping would be changed where camping would be allowed in C1 and C2. Under this language, you just walked us through, but no more than 4 sites would be available.
Correct.
Parcel or entity.
Correct. Because if they go above that, then they're basically the campground. Because it'd be regulated by the state.
But under this, they could not go above that.
Correct. They only have that, not most 4 campsites. And that would be,
And I'm sorry, the way I read this, no RVs, no travel trailers. Camping as an accessory use is intended to refer to tent camping in a commercial recreational facility with less than 5 units.
yes, 10 camping only.
Yes.
No RVs or travel trailers under this situation.
In your email to us earlier today, it was outlining some of the, that you met with the planner to review. Is this on this?
Yes, so she has looked at this, and in fact, item G, the last part, is something that she suggested. She wanted to make sure that, if you have something as an accessory, like camping, for example, at what point, as it grows, at what point does it not become accessory? So that's why I'm defining the camping as I have here, so it puts a limit on it.
So has the applicant, well, not applicant yet, but Getaway Bay, have they expressed to you March, or is that just kind of what you?
That's what I expect, but first of all, they also he's saying that he only wants 4 campsites, or 4 tents only. And so that would be consistent with, he doesn't want to have to go through the state regulation process.
Now, would these be tents that he puts up, or would they be tents that other people put up? Because there's a thing called going thing right now.
That's a travel trailer. That's what they call it. It's like a year, the state parks have.
Yeah, the yurts. I'm just wondering.
I talked to Matt and Harry, and he said, well, his intentions are to have a platform which a tent would be mounted on. And it's such as like a 5-person, 8-person type tent. There'd be no electricity provided, and whatever sanitation would be provided by porta potties.
Okay, now, I'm sorry.
No.
I believe back on November 9th, we discussed, and I thought we kind of all generally agreed that we wanted to codify some of the restrictions as far as like you have in your seasonal hours or dates of operation, April to December 1st. But is there anything in here, or are we going to discuss how many consecutive nights one person or entity will stay there? Distances between campsites, hours of operation as far as noise.
Hours of operation is already discussed here, 7 AM to 10 PM. And that would be now that is basically the hours of operation for the recreational facility is 7 AM to 10 PM. Obviously camping is overnight, so that would be part of the special use approval, because this would all fall under the recreational facility special use. And site plan, and yes, a site plan would be required for this.
And what about the number of consecutive nights?
At this time, we don't address that.
Why?
Well, I mean, I can't imagine somebody moving into the tent from April to December, but that doesn't mean they won't. I also like to talk about the times. I mean, if Getaway Bay or whatever is open from 7 to 10 PM, but people are staying there all night, I think there needs to be some language on, are they allowed to come and go all night? Are they allowed, what, as far as noise, are they allowed to make? There's a house right across the street.
Correct. And that is what we could easily put in here is that we could easily put in here some caveats that basically says that regulations such as quiet hours and anything else will be subject to approval at site plan.
On the site plan, once it's done on our level, goes to the board.
Correct. Even on the site plan, we review it and then make a recommendation to the township board. So, and I think that might be a good paragraph to put in here about that. Besides quiet hours, there's some other concerns that we have.
Number of consecutive nights. You never, well, I don't know about private campgrounds, like, you can only afford the state parks, but they limit you to 14 days. Yep.
Okay.
And I'd also like to run that by Marty.
Oh, of course.
To see if, if we can we regulate that in the site plan process, or if, once we get to the site plan and he says, hey, I want to have concerts all night and I want them to stay all summer, too bad, it's too late. I'd like to hear our attorney say that we can regulate that.
Well, actually, example, if we know exactly what we want, say like quiet hours from, quiet hours from 10 AM to 7 AM, I mean, 10 PM to 7 AM. We can put that in here. Okay.
I mean, if they're open from 7 to 10, we can't change that, or we don't want to change that, or can't change it.
Well, we can, up there in that paragraph that talks about hours of operation, it does say that they can ask for modification of that.
So we could we walk that back now? We want to change it to 8 or 9. We do that right now.
We could, we're making changes to this ordinance. So, quiet hours from 10 PM until 7 AM.
Yeah.
Still discussing. That's what I think.
And then like you said, like to stay at state parks is what, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay. Any comments from you guys?
We're gonna have a public hearing on this.
Oh, definitely. This is just a discussion to try to, decide whether you want to move ahead.
Two things, any concern, and I'm trying, looking at the state. With the large body of water next to people that I assume can bring in alcohol. Is there anything precluding that from happening? I just don't know.
Not at this time.
I don't know how to regulate, that's going to no drinking, but that's like, I think it's out of our hands. But I just, tents, lose water.
Well, what do the state parks regulate?
Most state parks allow alcohol. They have quiet hours usually start.
I don't think you're allowed in the water.
I don't think they want like glass on the beach, but we can right next to water.
I would say, if it's good enough for a state park, it should be good enough for our parks.
I think then, but I do think that then maybe there needs to be some additional required liability insurance. I mean, like some kind of level of increased liability.
Wouldn't that be up to the insurance company that he deals with? Zone. What, I guess, why would we demand that?
I haven't lived in this community very long, but I think there's been some really sad things that have happened there. And I don't think it's, probably anything off the difference of what happened. Those state parks have, means of, regulated. And there's state employees, there's people that right. Bring it up.
Well, what I can do is I can write up another paragraph that basically talks about 5 hours and like to say, and we can review it again at our next meeting, and then decide to public hearing after that.
Can we ask the attorney for any other precedent for, or not the attorney, the planner, for precedent on alcohol or beach regulatory
Sure.
or increased liabilities or non-requirement is their standard? I'm pretty sure there is. We require it for the weddings and the events and everything else.
We'll see about that.
Then from a process standpoint, I know you're thinking about having it for the next, the public hearing for the next, of the January or February. Is that what you're thinking?
Well, now that I have to do this homework, decision, then it won't be ready until public hearing in February.
I guess from a process standpoint, since we don't have, we know there's an application, we know there's an interest in some expanding the use of their facilities. And even though it's not everybody's favorite thing to do, it is allowed to do an ordinance change in concurrence with an application for a special use approval.
Right, but
So.
we're not out at that time. I mean, he still has time to wait until we change the ordinance and then.
I know, but if we change the ordinance and then he comes to us with something that is fairly reasonable, or I have no idea. That's what you're saying, so that we may want to just consider doing it concurrently, so that way we don't have to go back to the ordinance and make any adjustments.
Sure, we could do that. That would not be good. What would happen is that we would make the recommendation to the township board, they would approve the ordinance, and then they would turn around and then they would approve the special use request, pending the final, once the ordinance is adopted, which would be 7 days later.
I also looked up and there's it's not in statute, in state statute, but there are cleanliness standards for state parks and state camping. I don't want to get into dictating exactly what cleanliness means because we have our blight ordinance, but that maybe there's something that we could look at there. I'll send you the state.
Okay. Okay, very good. So I'll talk to Lucy and the planner and pull together some words that we can then review at our next meeting. Next item of business is discussion of a proposed new general law ordinance to provide guidelines for ordinance enforcement. You may not have heard, but we do have an ordinance enforcement person on staff. And his name is Tim Doobie. And he also works for Ida Township. And he made a proposal that our township should look to enact a municipal civil infraction ordinance. And basically it provides guidelines for enforcing the ordinances and schedule of fines and notice requirements for violations, and in other words, a process for conducting the enforcement and resolution of infractions to the ordinance. And I think that that would be this would be great, especially since he feels that it's necessary. He's an experienced enforcement person, and the ordinance that I gave you a copy of is from Ida, and I basically I haven't scanned it, but I haven't read it in detail. But my initial indication is that it's already an ordinance one time in that township. May only have to change the name and move on. What do you think? When did Tim start? Roughly. November? Last month.
He started last month?
Yes.
How did we get a hold of him?
You'll have to ask a board,
Okay,
the township clerk about that. I don't know.
thank you.
You can do that after the meeting. So, I would like you guys to take a look at this. I don't think that, like I said, I'll read through it, and I think that we'll have to have a public hearing to allow the public to comment on it, and before we can send it to the township board for their approval.
Do you want to discuss it? This is homework.
Well, this is homework. Unless you guys feel that we can move ahead with this and have a public hearing in January.
I love the idea. I think this is enough to close out. I'm not opposed to doing it once over now.
I guess it would be helpful to have Tim, if he works for the township, to write a proposal of situation analysis versus just here's another ordinance from another township.
Okay.
Like why do we need this? What are some examples of what we're protecting ourselves against? Because this type of stuff also can have, in the hands of the wrong person, can be really annoying. Helpful, but also.
Why don't I have them come to our next meeting? And we can speak over it with them, discuss it. I think the prudent thing to do.
How many years have you been doing this? Any idea?
I don't know. Again, our project clerk would probably have that information.
Well, the other thing too, though, with all due respect to Rebecca, I don't think I really thought about that. But you said it, I can certainly see it. I think most people in the township who had a problem with non-compliance have found their complaints to fall on deaf ears. For the most part. There's serious concerns, there's violation of the ordinances, and you know, as we've dealt with it off and on over the last 17 years I've been on this commission. And, it would be nice to have some actual teeth into our ordinance, but I 100% agree with that as well. In the hands of the wrong person.
I agree. So at the next meeting, I'll have Tim available so that we can then discuss this with him. And then after that, we can move forward with the public hearing and go from there. Okay. Any other comments on this? Next item, deep well injection of CO2. It has been proposed that we should possibly recommend to the township board that a moratorium be established to not allow deep well injections of CO2 for a period of time. In order for us to be able to for the township to be able to get their ducks in a row, so to speak, about this issue. So what do you guys think?
Years, you get everything straightened out. So that I deal with two things at once.
Is that a motion, Pat?
Yes.
Pat has made a motion to recommend to the township board that they enact a 2-year moratorium on deep well injection of CO2.
I got the information. Some verbiage.
Is there a second for that motion?
Second.
And Matt has seconded it. So yes, Matt, you have something to do.
Well, you were just, I didn't know if you were looking for certain verbiage on what it actually is referred to as. I mean, I have a pamphlet here, sorry, and it doesn't say in the title in it about people injections, carbon capture and sequestration. I don't know if we have.
Well,
to be
maybe
specific
I should
on the
refer
verbiage.
to it as underground carbon sequestration. Whatever that was.
Sequestration.
Yeah, that probably would be more carbon capture and sequestration. Yeah, technologies. Okay, so which bit, so if I basically say underground carbon capture and et cetera, that would cover it. Whether it's deep well or not. Okay. Thank you.
If you want that, I get that back. That's the only source. I
In
have.
fact, I believe I have a copy as well. If I don't know, I know I do have a copy. Okay, any other comments? All in favor of motion to recommend that the township board enact a 2-year moratorium on underground carbon capture and sequestration of CO2. Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Great. I will communicate this to the township board for the meeting. Okay. So okay, at this time, the other two items is discussing the solar ordinance amendments, and then the meeting calendar for planning commission. So let's do that real quick. I gave you a list of the dates for 2023 for the meetings that we would normally have. January 5th is the first Thursday of January. And the reason for that is because after I'm leaving town on the 9th. So I'm recommending that we have our January meeting on the 5th of January, which is a Thursday, first Thursday. Is there any?
I'm pretty sure I'm not.
So you're gonna be gone that week?
Yes, that's a Thursday. I believe it's coming back Saturday or something.
Okay,
I could do it the following week. you just said.
I'm gone on my.
And some of these other dates I would have to check.
Well, the other dates are the second Tuesdays of the month. So I mean, that's consistent throughout the rest of the calendar year. And I've mentioned there's 4 times, February, March, June, and November, where our meeting falls before the township board meeting. But again, that's, usually that's not a problem.
There's 4 times in 2023 where it's after.
I'm sorry, after the budget, yes. Usually that's not a problem unless we have something that we're passing that, we want to pass on to the. Not gonna worry about it until we get to those things. Well, it looks like in January, one of us is going to be gone. So I'm going to recommend that we still have the January 5th meeting. What do you guys?
Yes, that's fine.
Start that week. Well, the other alternative is if we could have the regular Tuesday meeting on the 10th of January, and you guys can have it with Lucy and without me.
Wonderful.
I mean, I'm not indispensable.
When are you coming back?
February 1st.
We'll be fine.
So, that way, so I mean, we could do it that way. I'm not indispensable. And some townships have a planner actually moderate the meeting. So something that she can do. If you'd like. So how do we do that? That way you guys can be here and Lucy knows kids can handle the meeting and she's happy. Okay, so that January meeting will be on the 10th. Very good. Excellent. I will pass this along to the township board and they can, also, I'm requesting that they provide our budget as carryover budget. However, with adding additional funds for attorney and planner consultations. Because, in the past, we haven't used them to any great extent. We are going to be using them a lot. Okay, so I'd like to make a motion that we accept these dates as our regular meeting dates for 2023. Is there a second? Seconds, all in favor?
All right.
Oh, motion carries. Very good. Okay, now we get to the meat of the meeting. Setbacks again. It's in that phrase.
Before we get started, well, on to the second issue, I had a couple of discussions with our attorney, Marty, just to kind of walk through the process, walk through probably quite a few questions that I had, as well as some of the changes to the township board. And his recommendation was for the planning commission to immediately recommend to the board for a moratorium extension to somewhere in July 1st, July 31st. Specific date and from that perspective. So I was just wondering if we wanted to, because we won't be sending them, since they did not rescind the original ordinance, so we're dealing with the current ordinance, that there would be an extension. It doesn't matter to me, July 1st or 31st.
All right. So you want to have the planning commission make a recommendation officially? So are you making a motion?
I'll make.
Matt, making a motion. That the planning commission is recommending that the township board extend the moratorium for until February 1st. I'm being facetious. Sorry about that. June 1st? July 1st?
Yeah, because I think the current one is July 31st.
But they know, but they'll pick a date. That's
Right.
already suggested.
Until July 1st, we'll just pick a date for them and let them decide. It's only a recommendation. So Matt is making that motion. Is there a second? Second. Okay, any discussion? Comment? All in favor of Matt's motion to extend the, recommend to the township board extend the moratorium until July 1st, say aye.
All right.
And opposed? Motion carries. 5-0. Okay, so I will communicate that to them as well. Yes.
And then, I just emailed, members of the planning commission and printed off some copies of the. I think that the last couple of meetings I've outlined that is what I perceive as our reality and our, I think our political reality, our, what is it? From all of the work that everyone has put into this and everything that we move forward, but based on the current events and changes in the makeup of the board, I really find it challenging that if we move forward with an ordinance that is not supported by the board, or we don't have that clarity, that it would be helpful to have some more clarity. So in order to be more definitive, I drafted in conjunction with the attorney and request a public hearing next planning commission meeting on this, and I'll just read it. I have copies of it for people. And this was Marty's language, an ordinance enacted pursuant to Public Acts, Act 110, Public Act 2006, is amended by known as the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act, and according to the master plan of the township, as has been adopted and amended from time to time, to amend Milan Township Ordinance 2008-001 is amended as the Township of Milan zoning ordinance, which originally became effective April 26th, 2008. I have a quick comment here that I'm not sure if that's exactly how it's supposed to be said, because that was one of the final sign off from Marty on. So as to remove a provision and to do so by removing reference to Ag 1 and Ag 2, and for the purpose of promoting and protecting the public health, safety, and general welfare of the residents and property in the township of Milan. The township board of the Township of Milan, County of Monroe, State of Michigan hereby ordains amendments to article general provisions to ordinance number to be determined and known as the Township of Monroe shall delete ordinance 13.217.27 in its entirety to be replaced with the following. And I won't read the entire ordinance, but I copied the current 1327, and in section M, it reads, location of solar arrays and related facilities, solar arrays shall be permitted only in industrial 1 and I2 districts. And in section O, starting down, it says restoration shall also include bringing soil to pre-development conditions in I1 and I2 districts. I essentially scratched
Reference to the
pre-development composition for agricultural use, and then went through the ordinance and did not find any other references to ag that I'm aware of. And, you know, I think there's been some, so I think there's been some discussion about setbacks. In lengthy discussions with Marty about that, there were some legal concerns about making major setbacks for industrial. We do not have those concerns for ag, removing ag. So at this time, I did not make any changes or any recommended changes to setbacks for industrial that are different than what's currently in 1327. But I think from the long-term planning perspective, the makeup of the township board, I would prefer to have some clarity. And I think this provides the most clear and best foot forward. So what it would do is we would have, or what I would hope is that this would get posted to the website immediately as a public hearing for the next meeting. And then at the next meeting, we could vote to approve or just to move this immediately for recommendation.
So this basically, you're proposing that this replaces our current 13.27 ordinance, our solar energy system ordinance.
Right, so it deletes it in its entirety.
And this replaces
And then
it. And the only difference between the current ordinance that's on the books and active right now, 1327, and this is that this deletes ag from, leaves everything else the same. All the discussions we've had on all the other amendments and so forth is basically not included in this.
John, just to kind of piggyback off what Rebecca said, I also reached out to Marty today, and he made it clear that we could make other amendments. I mean, we if this goes through, it doesn't go through, I think in the context, if this does go through, when we talk about setbacks, noise, screening.
Isn't that what we're doing right now already? I mean,
I think it's a different animal when we're considering setbacks and screening and noise in ag versus in industrial. There's a significant difference.
And I think also it provides clarity for some people, not great ones. It just, for any applicants or future applicants, which seem to be popping up, I think it provides more legal base or a stronger legal argument on moving forward. And I don't do this lightly, John. I mean,
I'm not saying, I'm not implying that you do, but I'm treating this like that. I think you're very serious about this. But I guess the confusion that I have is that this is basically 1327 without A. Well, right now we are going through and we've discussed numerous amendments to 1327, which we all seem to agree are good ideas. And we will be getting to the section in 13, to discuss in a meeting or two, where we will discuss the location, ag or and industrial issues. And at that time, we will be taking a vote on whether ag should stay or go. So what, I guess I don't understand why you'd want to take this tangent and basically take all these other amendments and everything and basically put them to the side for 3 or 4 months. And it will be 3 or 4 months before any of these other, stuff gets.
We got time, we got time.
And, to be able to pursue this. And because we're going to be doing, getting to the same place as this is very shortly. And so I don't understand why we would go this route versus staying the course and finishing what we've been working on for the last 8 to 10 months. I'm sorry.
No, I mean,
With all due respect, I think, we're talking about a number of issues that are subsequent to the elephant in the room. This is where we should have started. And I think there's an impetus to get some direction on this. When we're talking about setbacks, am I talking about setbacks in ag or am I talking about industrial? There were 2 different things. We're talking about screening. I need some clarification on that. If that's what we're gonna get to, I think Rebecca's just giving us
Clarification
a,
from whom?
the people who are ultimately gonna make the decision. I think it's an excellent way for Rebecca to do that.
What kind of a clarification do you want?
I think that first of all, there is, we've all spent an enormous amount of time, and I don't even have the emotional investment that I think some of the landowners have. This is, and then some of the landowners that are surrounding the proposal, all of those types of things. And I just, we're constantly in this space, to Matt's point, of kind of going around this issue, and it is abundantly clear that the current leadership on the board, or the majority on the board, is preferring this direction. So get it out of the way so we can move forward with an industrial kind of incorporating all of these good things that we've talked about. I have said from the beginning that unless there was a community benefit that matched the property value impact, then I didn't support it in May. And until the state came up with stronger direction, or the federal government came up with stronger direction on where we were all gonna go. And it is clear when your attorney sits up here and says that my idea is not something that he can support, I don't see a path forward based on the votes on this commission and based on the votes on the board. And so why move forward where, we're playing with people's emotions, their long-term planning, all kinds of other things. And that's why I asked Marty what would be the best and legal way forward so that we're not putting the township at greater risk. And he believes, and I want to be very careful when saying this, because I'm not directly quoting him, but he believes that the longer we go without clarity, the less coverage he has as an attorney.
That's why we should move forward with the amendments that we've been.
I'm just putting it forward. I would like clarity from the board, and I think that this gets to the greatest clarity. They can reject it. If they reject it, then we're back at it. They have the power to reject it, but you spend so much time on this, and we're now spending money on planners, which I fully agree with money on planners. Every time the attorney, I call the attorney, I'm sure someone's gonna get a bill. So, I've thought about this long and hard. I mean, I don't disagree with anything on this. Almost anything except for the property value. I don't think that, solar panels are spewing, poisonous gases. I don't think that they're, all of the things that have been said. I really don't. But the political reality is there aren't the votes. And I deal with this commodity day in and day out. You don't have the votes. You'll pull Kenny Rogers. You don't know the song. So that's what I would say. I do not take this lightly. I mean, I was.
Okay, I don't disagree. I totally acknowledge that you take this very seriously. So.
That would be, so I don't know what from both would be my amendments, and then also to, I think the second amendment would be amend Article 5, table of permitted uses and the level of large scale.
Okay, so you're proposing this as a what?
For a public hearing, so that this would be posted to the website. I guess I'm just putting this forward, that we would move forward with a public hearing for the January or February meeting. To then make a recommendation to the board. And
Well, I think that, well, first of all, any public hearing that we have on this needs to have all 5 of us. First of all. So that basically says January is not doable. Unless, now we could have it the last week of December. Christmas. Merry Christmas. Okay.
We have a special public hearing that they can come back.
Well, it would be the first Tuesday of, right now, the February meeting is the second Tuesday of February, which is after the township board meetings. And I would think that you want to have our public hearing prior to the township board.
We have a special meeting in early February.
Yes, on the 7th of February, which would be the first Tuesday. And that can be done, yes. So I'd like to, is there a motion to set this and move ahead with the public hearing on February 7th? Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Any comments from anybody?
One thing that I did leave out is, the attorney also recommended that, from a legal perspective, if the less that is changed, the better. And if the changes are just simply structural or concerning proper dates here, importance numbers, and that. So before, it gets posted to the website as a proposed amendment for the public hearing, if we can get final approval from the attorney.
On this ordinance?
Yeah, no, I'll try to do that.
Okay. So, any other comments? Okay. Motion has been made to have a public hearing in order to obtain public comment regarding the amendment to Island Township zoning ordinance to repeal ordinance 1327 and replace it with the attached this ordinance, which deletes ag from the ordinance. It's as seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nay. Okay. Passed. So on February 7th, we will have a public hearing to discuss this this ordinance, which is the same thing as 1327, except it does not allow solar in the ag district. So that'll be February 7th, 2 days prior to the township board meeting. And depending on what happens at the public hearing, we will, township board can then act on it or not. Anything else from you guys? That right? Just have setbacks. Okay, so I think we should go to public comment. Okay, public comment time, 5 minutes per person. Anybody would like to talk? Yes, sir.
How you doing? Again, I'm next. And I want to try to, I know I got 5 minutes, I'm trying to fit this all in. First of all, the drilling, you need to do your homework on that. And they're selling it for CO2 and all that other stuff. There's heavy metals right on. Got to get into the whole picture of what they're doing with that. I'm about 35% into it right now. And as I get my facts out, if there's anybody that wants it, I'll be able to tell them what I know from that. Second of all, as far as there's more to do with trying to do this. What the hell? What's the name of the lake they're trying to
Getaway Bay?
Yeah, Getaway Bay. There's more to it than the people in this room know. And in the next meeting or the meeting we have, we'll bring the rest of it out. And it's going to really disturb a lot of people on how certain people are trying to pass this thing. And then also you got to talk to a ranger, talk to rangers, talk to police officers already about it. And we got to have a certain type of fire. You got to have garbage just picked up. And then when you talk about the opening for people coming in and out, I'm telling you, brother, I will be Detroit. There'll be a lot of brothers and sisters out there and friends coming out there, and that road will be busy all night long. So unless you're gonna watch it, or you're gonna send somebody out to watch it, when you open up something like that in there like that, it opens up to the wrong people to come in there because it gives them a safe haven, because you either have to have a constable or you have to have a ranger that, even though it's not a state park, someone's got to regulate that, and that's you guys. But there's a lot of openings when you start opening up camps. I'm still looking for the 13 acres of water we can put in there yet. But you have to really research it, and that's what you guys were talking about earlier. If you want to change the board around, because nobody's doing any work. Someone's got to do work. Someone's got to do labor. That's what we do. And we do labor now. So you need to really look real heavy at that, because it has to do with a lot of regulations that someone's got to do, because I don't think Pat wants someone pulling in his drive passing out. I don't think people on Wabash want anything like that going on. If we create that, there's only certain people on this board that's going to get accused of pushing this thing through. So I'm just letting you know that much. Do your homework, then you can talk to me. someday and talk to me about it. And I appreciate the guy from the fair coming down, talk about his solar farm, that's great. He brings up certain things, it's just like the solar guy back here, he brings up certain things, I call it flash on bush, it's great, okay? And what, the backlash of that, if you talk to anybody that, does tiling, have you done anything, as far as the grounds, what the grounds when you're working 20 years? There's a lot of things that we're not talking about. We're talking about the panels, and things and so on. We're talking about new stuff there. Does it do it? Yeah. But you just got more stuff that's gonna happen. I don't know why you got out of the farm business, but the whole thing comes out is that the research underneath it is what you gotta have. And that's what everybody hasn't got right. And we can sit here and argue about all the other stuff, but do the agricultural research on the ground and what it does to tile, what it does to the ground. And then nobody has signed up from the solar companies to take liability when we flood your house or when the river overflows or anything like that. When the water comes off the panels, they go down the shed. It's not like dropping on 14-foot ground. So there's a lot of different things there. Maybe this is real big, he's got good stuff with the water, I don't know. But happy he's happy. So it's not the whole story, and everybody needs to get the whole story. Everybody in this township needs to get the whole story, and that's what you're getting as part of the story or law. I've got 30 years of politics. I've been there. I watched the fox go around the house, and I watched them talk. And I'm telling you, you have to listen to every word because there's a meaning behind it, just like this lake and campground. There's a meaning behind it. You know it as well as I do. So, you too. So, thanks a lot for doing what you've done so far. I appreciate your work. You guys have worked and I'm hoping that we move forward because the people in the garage to sit there and look, oh, I gotta leave. That's a little busy,
Pushing your own sister.
Thank you, board. I appreciate what you are starting to listen to the community, and I want to thank you for all your hard work and just listening to us. But my next question is, or my next concern, I should say, is changing that campground from ag to commercial. So how do you stop the adjacent property from not being commercial?
It is commercial.
So, okay, it is commercial right now. So can that ag ground turn into commercial because it's
Which
adjacent?
background are you talking about?
The next, okay, I'm not gonna say anything, but whoever has ag, you have commercial, and then you have ag right next to commercial, most likely on this side. They can come in and turn that into commercial, really.
Sure. All they
So
have to do is, all they have to do is come to the township board and request a zoning change from ag to commercial. And then the township board will decide whether that's a good idea or not.
And that's the way it is now. This has nothing, that has nothing to do with Getaway or whoever operates that property. If you're adjacent to commercial.
So there is something. And then, for the beer and liquor stuff for the Getaway, do they have a license? Do you know that?
I don't know.
Okay.
About the drugs going in.
Yeah, we got, and I appreciate that you put 2 years on the CO2, because I know there's neighboring people that have been the same predicament, so thank you for all the work you guys have done, thank you.
Any additional comments?
On this new general law ordinance, is that can we get a copy of what you have up there so we can look at it as well, so it's transparent to us, so when he does come to the meeting, if we have questions, are we allowed to ask him questions, or can we send you emails like we have in the past for the thing with the solar ordinance, or
Yes.
is that something that we can do?
They'll be put on the web.
And for your people that, for the community that's not here tonight, there's no way for them to Zoom this because there was a number left off of the code, passcode, to get on the Zoom this night. I've had 2 people text me asking what the passcode was. So you left out the last number, so nobody at home that sits at home and wants to watch this, can watch it.
I don't know about that.
I do know, I got two
I
channels.
believe you, but I did not.
So therefore, we have a community that's out in the dark again, other than the people that are here.
That's a conspiracy.
It's not transparent, guy, come on. Work with the community. And one more thing real quick. Did I hear 4 days and 1 day on that last one?
You did?
Okay. That's what I thought. Thank you.
Any other questions? Comments?
You don't need business.
There, O'Shea Township, this is a question, and get back to me on this, but I'd like to know how we go through, getting an unimproved road in our township up to an approved level. So,
Why are you wasting your time?
I don't know, I have to talk to our supervisor about that, and he can talk to the road commissioner about it.
okay,
He's working on it. It's already before, township road commission meetings and discuss some things, get some things going.
to get unimproved roads up to an approved level, because there's gonna be more homes put in the next year. So, thank you.
Any other comments?
That was on my township. So as far as the campground goes, the ordinance, getting that setback from residential property, limit hours of traffic in and out. Provide, is it self-supply camping gear or supply? Hours of camping with and fire regulation for neighboring people. Can penalties be placed on them after so many times, so many violations? I.e. permit, vote. You got camping 24/7. So you got manned up, is the gate gonna be manned, unmanned? The state park has a DNR number, sometimes it's manned by DNR, sometimes not, there's somebody available. And as far as going from the township board to the planning commission on the special use, I agree with that.
Kent, could you email me those concerns of yours?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And coalition, as I said before, I'm here representing people who live in the town, who are landowners, who are property owners, as well as taxpayers in the township. Fact of the matter is, I've said this once before, I'll say it again, the farmers that want to have solar on the property choose to have solar on the property. It's not forced out by the government, it's not forced on by the company, it's their choice. It's a choice they make based on situations going on within someone's family. As I said before, I'm a farmer myself, I actually sold a farming business too, not going out of it, not until I die. I plan to release, but at the same time, I also acknowledge the reality of current farming. Fact of the matter is, you cannot make the same money today farming that you could 20 years ago. I just left to look at my grandpa's farm notes, my grandpa's farm expenditures and revenues versus my own. It's a very different world. That's why you're seeing so many farmers looking for other options to diversify their farm fields. Because the fact of the matter is, you need diversity if you want to keep a farm. Having solar allows that diversity. Now, I don't live here in Iowa Township. My family though was born and raised in York Township, not too far away from here. They tell me all the time about how they remember Iowa Township looking when they grew up and when they lived around there. Compared to today, what's the difference? There's a lot more people live here, a lot more homes that live here. The fact of the matter is, they talk about all the time that this area, these areas in southeast Michigan are getting more and more urbanized by the minute. How's it gonna happen? Farms go out of business. Farms forced to sell half-acre lots, 1-acre lots, 5-acre lots to land developers or to people to sell houses. If you don't allow a farmer to survive, if you don't allow a farmer an opportunity to diversify their income, that land will eventually turn into homes. And the rural characteristics that everyone holds so dear will go away. I've said it previously, that property values are not affected by solar. I do have studies. I have studies. If anyone else can show me a study to the contrary, I just want to have to look at it. Only one study of the 100 studies that we've looked at, and when it comes to this question, has ever shown a devaluation of solar. It was a 5% devaluation from the University of Rhode Island, and it only was in fact when you had a community of over 300,000 people within a high density area. Island Township is not a 300,000 people community in high density township. That same study looked at rural property values and also found there is no change in the property values when it affects solar. It doesn't affect property values.
5 minutes ago.
Just because,
5 minutes ago.
No, we still have time.
just because neighbors are concerned about something, doesn't mean it's not legitimate to put in. You need to protect the rights of the property owners. You need to protect personal property rights. If I was today, start a organization called People for White Houses, went around and got 300 Facebook likes, and got 500 people in here demanding, said the only houses in my township ought to be white houses, you guys left me off the stage, as you ought to. Because property rights trump subjective feelings on beauty. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Township. It's gentlemen, a lot of fascinating points. The one that I'm still pondering, sir, is how you compared essentially the similarities and the differences between farmers raising corn versus raising solar panels. And I'm telling you folks, somebody educate me. I personally have never seen a farmer grow solar panels. Perhaps I'm just missing something here. Nevertheless, Planning Commission, thank you for your work you did tonight. I appreciate it personally and I know many of us do. The moratorium recommendation and discussion to move forward on moving ag from the industrial solar complex and keep it industrial where it belongs. And again, where the precedents and high standard has already been established for surrounding communities in our county by them doing the same thing. Making it ag only, 500-foot setbacks, and protecting the ag communities by keeping the solar developments in industrial only. It's the wise thing to do, it's the smart thing to do, it's the right thing to do. Again, simply put, thank you.
Any other comments?
Yeah, my name is Mike Goes, I'm from Sierra Club, I'll keep this real short and sweet. Heard mention that, that they agree with all the stuff pretty much that's on this, this flyer here, and yet somehow this is going to be, looks like we're heading to eliminate the possibility of having solar farms, which I find kind of amazing that facts doesn't seem to matter. You know, a lot of the talk about flooding of areas because of the solar panels there. You know, there's solar farms, and I live about a mile away from them. And I've seen heavy rains, we've got deluge, and it doesn't make any difference. I mean, they don't want their solar panels flooded. I mean, this is electrical stuff. Water doesn't agree with this very well. So, you know, a lot of this stuff that people are coming up with, I don't think is based on facts, and it would be nice to see some of this, these decisions based on facts.
I got a live guy that will come down and talk to you.
Thank
Live guy.
Any other comments?
You don't live in this township, do you?
Nick Strong, Dennis. I'd like to thank the commission for doing what they did tonight. But I want everybody here to realize that it's got to go to the board Thursday, or when they take it to the board. So we should all go to the board meetings, and if anybody wants to talk about this after the meeting, I'll be right out front. I'd like to get some names and numbers so we can start making a list and putting
Nick,
a
could
good
you
list
talk to us?
together.
Could you talk to us?
Oh, I'm talking to everybody.
I know you're talking to everybody.
So that's what I like to do. So I'm gonna be out front, get your name and number so we can get a list of people. And I'd like everybody to talk to your friends and your neighbors, bring them buddies, and get them to come.
Bring them.
Because we need all we can get right now. So that's what I like to say. And the last thing is, my grandpappy, my grandpappy, my great grandpappy, my mom, my dad, me, we all are from this area. We're born and raised here. We live here. I lived here all my life, went to Mount schools. And we're worried about one thing in this room, and that's the price and the value of our homes and our properties. And we want to keep them where they're at today or go up. Thank you.
Yes. Property.
Anybody else?
Here's some real sunshine.
Alan Comer called the Apex Clean Energy. I'll keep it real brief. A person's concerns brought up about drain tile, how we would be dealing with punctures or issues. We did host a October 19th open house at the high school for everyone to be able to ask us questions, including one of our project managers that directly deals with that. He included some slides and some information on that issue, how we would be handling that, as well as some mitigation plans for drainage. Fortunately for landowners and neighboring residences, similar to any other development, we're not allowed to just flood someone's basement, flood someone's yard, flood someone's field. We are required to maintain drainage. Again, as in any other development. Plenty of information on the project can be found at azaleasolar.com, including our preliminary site plan, that video from the 19th, frequently asked questions, and some contact information. If any members of the community or board PC members have any questions about solar energy generally, about Apex Clean Energy, or about Azalea Solar specifically, we'd be happy to meet with anybody, answer any questions, and any answer that I'm not able to provide, I'm happy to go find it for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, our next meeting is Tuesday. We want to have our meeting on, our regular meeting on Tuesday. Since we have this week. We have anything to talk about on Tuesday? Okay, so this is our regular, this is our December meeting. Our meeting on next Tuesday will be canceled. Our January meeting will be the 10th of January, which Lucy will moderate. And then on February 7th, we will have a public hearing on the amendment that was proposed. And so, anybody have any other issues they want to talk about?
Say that again, February.
7th is the public hearing for the proposed amendment that was presented tonight. I think the township board at their February 9th meeting, you guys review it. That's about it. I don't have anything else. There's premature. So we will be basically February or March meeting. We won't be talking about solar. No more discussion on solar until March. Oh, Anthony will talk about it.